Yo, check it out. Check it out. This DJL7, yeah? Alright, cool. So we're going to actually address this issue over here. This is actually something that's quite close to myself and actually quite an urgent issue. The fact of the matter is that Asian Americans are actually... Yo, this is one of the biggest things for my people. So let's take a look right here. So the thing is this thing called REACH, and we're about to go into the meeting. They're about to go live at 4:30, right? Yeah, I'm waiting for this. I'm surprised if there's even a possibility they won't even let me in. I actually emailed Grace Lee and some of the other people that are supposed to be attending this particular event. Let's get to some of this. I sent this email to actually quite a few people. So let's get to this particular thing right here. So the thing is, I sent this to the Harvard Palestinian stuff like that right there, Asian Americans. I sent to my allies, Keith Gads in China. That's actually a Nolan Farrell. People that work with Kay Presley, Corey Pendergrass. We'll see if they have this kind of last minute, but I helped them so I could get help back. Part of me, like I've always been like, an activist for a long time, but really I need solidarity, right? People always say, oh, help us and we'll help you back, right? Yeah. Okay. And as a poor person, as someone who has less, as someone who's helping from underneath, a lot of times help from myself is really not regarded as highly because they can see my desperation, right? Someone who's, a big shot, who's, a lot of people running to them for help, they feel blessed when that person helps them, right? And that person might just raise a finger or just say hi to them, and all of a sudden they feel so, whatever. But let's get to this, right? So this is the email that I sent out to all these people in advance, right? Palestinians, my allies here, right? Yeah, black allies too. Because actually I make a powerful accusation in this email right here. There's a meeting of the new mandatory AANHPI curriculum that's being implemented. Why this is super important. The establishment is purposefully raising Asian Americans who are victimizing the black community in an effort to sow division amongst our races to redirect anger regarding racism from whites towards ourselves. This is a known tactic. We never made black people slaves, but more anger is directed towards us than whites. Then I have this picture over here where I went recently viral on several platforms for being threatened, promoting division between blacks and Asians, where so much of my work has been to bring us together. Malcolm X had a much more inclusive idea of how to treat Asians, but the white-led, rap media and stuff like that, they are not, right, talking about Malcolm X in that range, right? They just, black people that serve in a white agenda, they're just saying, Asians are the enemy, right? I'm not saying we're agreeing on everything, but it's easier to beat up on an Asian man than to beat up on a white man. It just is. And that's what they do. A lot of them do this, yeah? I'm telling you right now. They know this is true. And when we get beat up, we're not going to get help. Not at all. When black on black crime, I'm helping people like that, they're not getting help either. Right? Yeah? If a white on black crime, they're going to do something. But otherwise, and only sometimes. This is bullshit, yeah? Actually, let me see if I can find that, the post actually that I have here, right? The pictures, it's actually in the attachments. But I can actually show you the actual thing, the actual link itself. I still have a couple minutes here. So you can see that this was actually posted on Southland Post, and I think this has actually received over 100, maybe over close to 200,000 views, and that's just on this one. Now I have to take a look. Maybe that's too high, yeah. But on this one platform, there's actually other platforms where it's on as well. So let me try this again. It does it does struggle a little bit. So we're going to show that viral picture in a second. My people should be, I think it's in the attachments here. It's actually, it would be really nice if I could see the actual pictures themselves of the thing, yeah. Oh well. So we'll see where that loads, okay? My people should be your allies, but leaders at the top are creating replacements and pumping them up to the sky and even institutionalizing a rewriting of history. As an activist, I need to be able to interact with and communicate with my own community, but barriers are raised to my participation at every turn. And I sent this to Nototool too. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Then I sent the link to the meeting itself. Now here's my concerns for the meeting. So number one, like many government programs, they're taking programs that are supposed to serve us and weaponizing them against us. And this is how they're going to do it. They will focus the curriculum on the past and on the dead with no regard for the living. So as we go to rallies for the Central Park 5, and I'm going to show you some of my work right here on that particular topic, right? As we're there, right, the press is going crazy, right? Oh, Central Park 5, blah, 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 right? Yeah. There's actually living people right there who have wrongful incarcerations, right? Yeah. And they're not being, the injustice that they're facing is not being addressed at all, right? Yeah. Because they don't have the following, or or they're not going to get the clicks because people don't know about their problems. So instead of using, right, the problems of the past to fix the present, the problems today, right? They love to talk about the dead people, right? Jordan Neely, he's dead. He can't speak out for the injustices that he may have faced from these not-for-profit organizations, this not-for-profit industrial complex. So, I'm going to show you that picture in a second, right? There's these are living victims right here. Living victims right here, okay? This one is right here, that attacked in her home by Cure Violence staff. This is going on right now. She's a victim right now. We also know that when there's black-on-black crime, a lot of times, they don't get help with that, right? They're just left to deal with it on their own. This one over here, you can see that we went to the Central Park 5. You could see us afterwards going to the press line. I've been doing this for years, right? Yeah, Alphace Marcus, he's kind of cool, yeah. At the end, right, I'm going to the press right and saying, like, are they going to cover our issue? He's not here to carry. And the messages. Here's the proof, right? Yeah. They pretend to care. They did not bother to follow up. You're goddamn right, yeah. They provide the illusion that progress is being made. Progress is not being made. We're still out here trying to get justice. It's ridiculous. As we see the electeds, they completely ignored the historical candidacy of Brandy Price, a trans woman who ran for mayor in Memphis, Tennessee, where Tyree Nichols just died. They say these poor trans people all this, they don't really. They're just using that community to have a fight, right? Yeah, and using them at the front lines. I think Democrats and Republicans are in on this. All the people who say these for the trans people at the Drag Queen Story Hour, it's real sus. They're being used. Yeah? On both sides. I claim that the curriculum should not just focus on the dead, but on current problems and issues. Number 2, I claim that the curriculum of AAPI studies will focus on the achievements of Asian Americans that serve the interests of outside agencies. Look how the BDS movement was squashed by these same political actors. Here's John Liu with Andy Yi Chen. Right, yeah, I have that picture right here. Here's a picture of, John Liu with Andy Chen. Right here, yeah. Here's another picture of, where is it? Picture of John Liu with Andy Yi Chen. Here is, I think there was also a picture of John Liu in Israel with the yarmulke on. Yeah, there he is right here. Yeah, okay. Here's with the yarmulke right there. You know what I mean? And like, John Liu just happened to be this man. I kind of like John Liu out of all the rest of the Asian American politicians like Sandra Ong and Grace Meng that are unfortunately in on this horrible scheme right here. And I do understand why they do it. We're going to address that in a moment. But if the community does not hold them accountable, then it's really the community's fault. The politicians serve the community. There's votes and stuff, and there's a mechanism for people to get their problems addressed. People want to talk about revolution and violence and shit. Y'all never experience violence like me. Shut the fuck up. Y'all never. If you want to fucking go toe to toe with me, all right, let's fucking go. Then tell me you're revolutionary. Unless you're willing to go fucking with me, yeah, in these streets, then don't shut the fuck up. You're not ready for this. You don't understand violence and the effects that it has on generationally and the effects that it has on the long term. It's horrible. I do not fucking condone violence, but I will defend myself 100%. I'm fucking done being a victim. So outside agencies, so you can see them serving Israel, right? Yeah. Yeah, here's Andy Yi Chen supporting Israel. Isn't Palestine Asian? Isn't that in Asia? Aren't they technically Asian Americans? What the fuck are you doing, Andy? Look at this fucking guy, man. It's fucking ridiculous. Look at this shit. Yo. I'm telling you it's because Grace Meng. Grace Meng's the vice chair of the DNC, very powerful politically, and has got all the Asian American politicians out here running fucking laps for Israel. Yulin Liu supposedly is against that, right? Yeah, I'm telling you right now she's controlled opposition. These people are real crafty. People think, there's only one level to this game, right? Because they're noobs. I'm sorry. I've been doing this 25 years. You have no idea what the fuck you're doing. but okay, you know, it's because I cannot be validated, because it doesn't matter what I accomplish, achieve, or sacrifice. All that matters, right, is that I don't look like an activist. So I would never, nothing I say can have any validity or be taken seriously. Doesn't matter how much proof I have. Fuck them. Now, as part of the machine, including Gracie, yeah, Sandra Ung and other, I laid it all out, right? Yeah. Oh, I also showed the picture of myself, right? Maybe I'm just a fucking guy, right? Yeah. Who the fuck are you? You ain't nobody. Yeah. I died. Okay, here's me, right? Yeah. With Aaron Foldenhauer's in the background. He's a former mayoral candidate, right? Yeah. He's also part of the Final Five. This is the head of this is People's Party New Jersey. Our Revolution New Jersey's here, right? Yeah, this lady is mayoral candidate's daughter, Danielle Morales, and this is actually a page who actually sold me out, right? Yeah, she's with the corporate campaign consultants, and I get it, because what does she want to do? Be me? Be fucking, you know, unsupported? Nah, she got a cushy job now, working for Siraj Patel. It's fucking disgusting. She took the money route. Okay. So the thing is that secondly, the curriculum will serve outside agencies, right, like the Israeli state, and Yang decides to tell Asian American grassroots organizers and join the corporate campaign consultants. Every single captain of the Yang gang left the group in disgust, and Andrew Yang replaced his entire staff with white people exclusively. If this was a black leader, that would be questioned, but because I'm an Asian American, right, yeah, that's never going to get addressed. It's okay for fucking Andrew Yang to replace his whole entire staff with white people. It's okay, right? Yeah. You can do that to Asian Americans. You can make us your passport brides. You can do whatever the fuck you want to us. We're not going to get help. Because we don't, they erase our suffering. Yeah? If they pretend like we never suffered. I'm a fucking war survivor. But you know what? The hood must be more hardcore than what I went through. Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, okay. That's the true suffering of the truest suffering is the ones that you don't hear about, not the ones that you hear about. The ones with power are the ones who get to be heard, not the ones without power. I'm concerned the curriculum will rewrite history to serve outside powerful interests such as the Israeli state. You get the activists you deserve. I need to get a foothold in the Asian American community, but let's look at the Chinese history for a second. Confucianism and Zen. Follow the rules of Cope. 5,000 years of continuous history and a history of repeated book burnings and destruction of dissident thought over many generations have led to a culture that's particularly vulnerable to manipulation by those with governmental authority. The curriculum will be used to rewrite history and destroy the confidence of some to raise others. Nelson Marr, there's only one unionized Chinese restaurant, right, yeah, in all of New York City, but who gives a fuck? They care about unionizing Amazon or fucking, or Starbucks, right? Where the cool people work, right? Yeah, diverse black and white people, but there's the Asian Americans, no. And if the Chinese restaurants unionized, no one gives a fuck. We're there to be cheap labor, right? It's said in that video of that black lady hating on me, right? Yeah, all we do is work in sweatshops, and they're happy about that. And they don't care. There's an element of black people who think that way, right? Yeah, not all of them. Muti's had my back. Reverend Keith Gadsden had my back. Christopher Leon Johnson had my back. There's people who are historically, they're making history, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, because if they didn't have my back, I'd say it was the other way. I don't give a fuck. Exciting. Oh, I know this guy. He's Korean. I know this guy. Okay, good. I'm muted. Yeah, I'm muted. Okay, good. Okay, I should have seen that on the screen. Okay, there's too much stuff going on. Okay, let's keep going on, right? Yeah, I'm going to keep, let's see if the chat right quick on. But there's actually, if you want to copy this email, put it in the chat and I'll send you a copy, yeah? There's real shit going on here. I sent this email to a whole bunch of people. They may have people in to run safety. Yeah, we're going to see what's up, yeah? I'll be surprised if they ever give me the mic. I'll be shocked. Shocked as shit. I invited a whole shit ton of people. We'll see who shows up. bunch of fucking fakes. That's what it is. Yeah, John's not showing up. Look at that shit. John's not showing up. John's scared. He got the email. He not showing up. Where's Grace Lee at? She not. We'll see if she shows up. John, why you not showing up, bro? Come on, man. Because you know I'm coming, man. That's why. Let's keep going here. Okay. A police officer, right, Stephen Lee, a police officer whose work is so significant it caused a re-examination of the Knapp Commission, which was called, and after the work of Serpico uncovered corruption in the NYPD. His work is also being erased. Not just me. Not just the only union president of the only unionized Chinese restaurant in all of New York City, right? Both of our works are being fucking destroyed. What about Nurdine Kaswani, right? Yeah, she's a Palestinian organizer, right? Yeah, is she including this AAPI curriculum when all these politicians who are kissing the Israel wall and shit is running the fucking show?
Thanks so much for
they gotta. She's there. It's got to be legit now.
Get started in just.
They got the Muslim spokesperson. Yeah, okay, that's legit.
So I really appreciate.
Sure you
patience.
do. Sure you do. I see no black people. Where's the black people at? Right? If you're taking the pioneers in terms of like
also,
ethnic studies,
I'm seeing that the chat
don't you
private,
think?
So I'm sorry about that.
Don't you think there should be
okay,
black people should be involved? They're the pioneers of this fucking movement.
Of our presentation today, we are going to definitely have time to interact with one another.
Let's see. That's sure, okay.
Oh
my God, John Liu showed up. What? Okay, that's really good.
So
What's really good?
We know what we're here for.
Oh,
I know what I'm here for.
Sure. Welcome, Senator.
Oh wait, I'm gonna push them. Okay, let's go to displaying cans. Okay, let's go. Okay. Okay.
Okay, and
I just wanted to see this nice-looking bunch of people.
Sure you did.
That's what I was getting at.
You running, bro. I know you, man. I see
it's
the
great to see everyone's lovely faces,
sure
and apologize in advance for my very nasally voice.
Yeah,
I know that David has to head out basically immediately, so I actually will pass the mic to him to offer some opening remarks, but I will say just thank you everyone for coming.
Recording in progress.
Yes, the meeting will be recorded, just for folks who aren't able to attend today.
I think I know.
So I really appreciate everyone's presence, and I'm going to just pass the mic over to give David a few minutes.
Aisha.
So what do you want to tell you talk about?
Grace Lee's here. What's up?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, she's here. Let's
go.
go.
We've been working together on some amazing work in Westchester on curriculum advocacy, and it completely parallels with some of our legislative campaign work and a lot of the things that we'll get into. And so I was hoping that you could just share some updates on what's going on in Westchester and what folks here should know.
Notice that you can only, you can only
maybe start our own local efforts in the way
send messages directly to like the CACF. You cannot talk to the mass. You cannot talk to the group. They do not have any way to put anything in the chat to the group.
American county legislator in Westchester's 400-year history. I feel the
so legit. Fuck out of here.
But I also know that
let's do a comparison of women versus men at this event.
We are
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Christopher Bay's here. Oh my God, 15, 16, 17, 18. Holy shit, okay.
In the county legislature, so any person who interacts with any government entity here knows that that's the craziest time. We have a meeting that literally started right now. So
I'm gonna emails to my people right now and tell them Christopher Bay's in the building, yeah?
We are trying to replicate what many of you guys have been pushing for so long.
I'm gonna text them.
After the curriculum bill, kind of stalled in Albany, a group of Asian American activists here in Westchester decided to try to push individual school districts to 1, adopt API curriculum, and 2, to add Eid and Diwali as holidays, right? Knowing that the state has taken the amazing step of adding Lunar New Year to school calendars, and knowing that New York City is adding Diwali as an official school holiday, we decided now is the time to tell Westchester school districts to add Eid and Diwali as holidays, as well as Lunar New Year, given that they're already redrafting their calendars. So we launched 2 weeks ago, right after Diwali, and we are in the process of sending the Hidden Voices curriculum, which I'm sure many of you are far more familiar with than I am, to every single school district in Westchester County, and saying you really need to adopt this. So the goal is really to kind of provide a framework with REACH, with CACF, for people to advocate to their own school districts and say, you need to add API curriculum. Because I think that this is something that is universally agreed on in the Asian American community. The Westchester, when I was co-chair of the Asian American Advisory Board in Westchester, we conducted a needs assessment for the entire Asian American community in the county, and we found that one of the number one issues was kind of the feeling of invisibility. I see our Make Us Visible friends on this call as well. A feeling of invisibility in school curriculums and how necessary it is to remedy that, right? So our goal is to basically follow in your footsteps and provide a framework that people can advocate for to their school districts. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to start sending letters out later this month. I'm lining up many meetings with superintendents in my district, and we're launching advocacy campaigns in individual school districts in other parts of the county. So very happy to quickly address any questions that folks have. But thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone here. I would be the first to say I am a latecomer to this effort because you guys have been doing such amazing work, and we're just trying to replicate what you've done in the city, in Albany, here in Westchester.
Great, thank you so much, David. Really appreciate you making time, and I know you have to run. So if folks do have questions, I know the chat is being funky right now, and I apologize for that, but I am seeing your responses, so if people do have questions, feel free to put it in the chat and I can definitely pass it along to you.
And there are folks from Westchester on this call. I see Anjali Chen and Diana Pan, and they're going to know far more than I do about the specifics about a lot of our advocacy. So if you have questions about Westchester, definitely you guys should take it away.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Me too. And I also do see our champions are on the call, so want to give them a shout out and make space. These are Senator John Liu and Assemblymember Grace Lee have paved the way and led the way at the state legislature, right, in helping us advance this legislation. We have been asking for curriculum mandate, and we've been asking for the inclusion of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander history. And so their voices in this effort have been very pivotal. So without further ado,
Just want to note that they are not going to respond. We'll see. Yeah.
So
Let's see if they respond.
Well, good to see everybody. And I just want to thank all of you for being part of the effort last year. The effort was, in my eyes, very, very successful because it brought really a very large, broad cross-section of the AAPI community all across the state of New York together on this important mission. And, legislation doesn't get passed overnight. The more impactful the legislation, the longer it takes. I don't want to take forever, though, so I think it's important to get focused. And this is, I think, the earliest that the REACH Coalition is getting organized. So I'm happy to see everybody here. Grace, Assemblymember Lee is on as well. And we are working very hard to put this at the front burner of the legislative agenda come, it's hard to believe, but it'll be here in just about 5 weeks. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you. I know there are some strategic decisions that the coalition needs to make. And, I try to adhere to that strategy as much as possible. But when you're in there in the pit with your fellow legislators, and sometimes compromises are necessary, otherwise you don't get out of the pit, then that's, sometimes we have to make last minute decisions. We always try to consult and talk with the coalition as much as possible. But that's
lies.
I expect that this coming session will be a challenging one for a lot of reasons, more challenging than last year. But it's good that we're getting organized earlier and even more broadly than we have in the past. So great to see everybody here, and thanks for participating.
Thank you so much.
You're
And we're
rewriting
definitely
history.
gonna,
Books.
talk more about kind of what the victories were, what our process was this past year, right? And what we're looking forward to do together in the coming year. So definitely that information is to come, but I definitely want to pass the mic
They got a
to
white person
Assemblymember
here.
Grace Lee, whose leadership on this was
Who's
also
running this shit?
very, very important in making movement ahead. So passing it over. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being on the call. I want to give a shout out to my great Senator colleague, John Liu, who has been championing this. And I feel really honored to be the Assembly sponsor on this bill and to be working with all of you. One of the most memorable moments of the legislative session this year was running into a group of young high schoolers who were playing hooky from school.
They love the young kids. They love the young kids. You know why? Because they're exploitable. Yeah.
You're skipping school? And they said, yeah. Because we want to lobby legislators to tell them that we want the API curriculum.
How about the victimization of Asian Americans throughout the fucking entire Yang Gang? Yeah. How about the redirection of monies for us for the Israeli states? Instead, you talking to high school kids that's cutting class. That's your priority.
Beyond just the legislation itself, but
3
how
years.
important
I've been waiting for justice.
representation is.
3 years.
You know, that young people are seeing our legislation reflecting them in it, and it is motivating them and inspiring them to be more civically engaged. And I think all of
Why is the
you
chat
are,
closed? Look at this shit.
a
The
part
chat
of
is
that,
closed, right? Look at this.
movement right here. And I really appreciate all the work that you did in this past legislative session to really build momentum around this bill.
Read AI meeting notes
And
can chat to the people, but
yeah, no,
I can't.
I'm really
They're locking me
excited.
out. I'm
I
not
will
allowed
say
to comment.
now
Yeah,
that
look at these
since
fucks.
I've been back in the city, talking to community members and a lot of people in the API community, I think this is one of the top things that people were excited about and wanted to see happen this year. So, we'll, as John said, things can take time, but, between John and myself, we have a lot of persistence and endurance, and we're ready to go all the way to help make this happen. So I want to thank all of you for all of your work and your advocacy, because without you, this couldn't get done. So thank you.
Wow, I know she ain't talking to me. I know
so
she ain't
much.
talking about me.
Really appreciate you all coming, and I know everyone here appreciates your leadership on this, both of your leadership.
I'm trying to promote the Palestinian thing, and she's getting in the way. Look at this shit.
We have like a packed agenda, right? Because we want to start.
I'm gonna type it
planning.
into her.
We
She's
got
to see. Yeah, she's the one seeing it, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna say,
think about how we can move this bill forward in the next session. So I'm going to actually share my screen.
Are you aware? I'm gonna type it in as I see
and
it,
we're
right?
gonna
Yeah.
start.
I'll probably get booed. We'll see.
We want to
Yeah.
do a brief intro.
Are
There's
you
so many
aware?
people in the room today. A lot of you have been with us since the formation of REACH. A lot of you have joined in along the way, and some of you are new members. And so, wherever you are, however you're coming in, we really welcome you and are really excited to have you. But we want to introduce ourselves. So, my name is Kulsum. I represent CACF in this space, and CACF is one of the co-leads of REACH. Brianna Sia, who you will be hearing from a lot more later on, is the president of OCA New York and also co-lead of REACH. And we have a lot of our other steering committee members here. And I think the chat is now open, I hope. So folks can actually take a moment to introduce themselves and share. But we have amazing steering committee members who have helped lead in the last session and will continue to help lead us through our next legislative session starting very soon. So moving right along, we want to just go over the formation. Like how do we come to be? How did this happen? And it starts with our purpose and values, right? We identified, speaking specifically from CACF, we'd been doing curriculum work for years.
Oh my God! They open it to everyone.
And then as we began developing relationships and partnerships, we saw.
Well,
that,
I wrote a whole book,
so
oh my God, they opened up. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna dump in. We're gonna see.
Working on this. And we were like, well, why don't we work together on this, right? Why don't we like use our collective power and our energy here? And that's kind of really how Reach came to be. And it's been amazing 1 year journey plus.
Okay, they opened the
we are
chat.
the first
Let's go.
statewide coalition. We are a very diverse coalition. We encompass AANHPI folks as well as allies to the community. We are a coalition encompassing of students, educators, community organizations, members, right? And people across the state. And we're also very intergenerational. So I think all of those things are really exciting because it shows how much this issue matters to so many different people. And so when we came together, we were like, well, like, what is it? Like, what do we care about? Like, why do we care about it? And then how are we going to fight for it? And we had this like brainstorm session where maybe a lot of you were actually there. And we basically had a jam board and we were like, well, what does it look like for us to fight for curriculum and inclusion of AANHPI voices in curriculum? And there were some key things that stood out to us. Specifically, we saw that we wanted to deconstruct the model minority, right? We wanted to increase representation. We wanted to pursue this in an intersectional way. We wanted to advocate for our community curriculum through the lens of culturally responsive sustaining education and that framework, right? We wanted to make sure that we're not just fighting, at the end of the day, we're not just fighting for the inclusion of AANHPI voices in curriculum, but all historically marginalized communities in curriculum. And so these are some of the things that folks shared, and it kind of brought us to our core values here, right? Centering solidarity, confronting the model minority myth, leading with transparency, communicating with clarity, which is why we created these community calls, which we'll continue to have in a bi-weekly manner, open to everyone. We actually expanded on the structure of our coalition, which we will also share about a little more in a minute or in a few minutes. And this is all as we've been learning from all of you, hearing feedback, and also just scaling up our efforts to make this a reality. And so I'm actually gonna now pass it over to my amazing co-lead, Bree, to talk through our impact and take us through some of the next few slides.
Awesome. Thank you, Kulsum. And yes, definitely, folks, the chat is open, so please continue to drop in the chat. So
yeah, okay. Well, how long? We'll see.
Yeah, okay. Here
we'll see what
and
happens.
To see some new and familiar faces. So folks who don't know me, my name is Brianna Sia, but you can call me Bree. Like Kulsum mentioned, I am the president of OCA New York, but also really proud to be the co-lead with Kulsum to help lead this incredible coalition, and just really, really grateful for all of y'all showing up, especially after the holiday break. And it's kind of hard to believe when I was thinking about getting ready for this call that, you know, Reach just started this year in 2023, y'all, which is wild to me to see how much we've accomplished so far just this past year. And on the slide here, for those of you who are new to Reach, summarizes some of the incredible
none of these people, I write to these people all the time, they never respond.
Especially this past legislative session. So
I write to all these motherfuckers all the time. They never respond.
Coalition that spans.
Let's see if they respond now.
York,
let's see if they respond now. We're here with them live.
Educators, parents, students, advocates, and organizations. We not only participated in advocating in the halls of the state capitol, like Assemblymember Grace Lee mentioned, but we also were out here in our communities talking to folks on the ground about the importance of incorporating AANHPI history in our schools. And that looked like holding or participating in several community events. So for example, we had Reach Coalition members at movie screenings. We had Reach Coalition members giving out leaflets and zines at different parades, like the Sick Day Parade. We also had people marching, as y'all saw that big banner about NHPI history and the second annual NHPI parade in New York City. And we also had people attending events in Westchester and talking about the importance of our coalition work at the annual Asian American Festival. And as a result of our
what's really good? Oh my
in
God,
Albany
let's
and across,
go.
Our communities,
John, how your face looking? John, what's your face look like? John, look at your face right now. Oh my God, John. Oh my God. Damn.
AMNY,
let's see the rest of their faces. How are you feeling right now?
And New York One. I think one of my favorite days this year was our first coalition advocacy day in Albany. So for the first time, our coalition was able to bring over 40 advocates. This included students, parents, advocates, educators to the Capitol. And we were able to organize about 15 meetings
I got cut off?
with elected officials and their staff. And we also had REACH coalition members running around the halls of the state capitol doing drop-offs of legislative packets to different offices of over 110 members, which is incredible, to ensure that we had as much of an expansive reach so people knew about our coalition and about the important bill that we were advocating for. We also, for the first time as a coalition, held a major press conference on the $1 Million Staircase in Albany. And this was the first major press conference this session with 10 elected officials who came on record and shared their support for incorporating AANHPI history in our schools across the state. As a result of our efforts, like our amazing champions mentioned, the bill did gain legislative traction, and we were able to pass an amended version of the bill in the state Senate this past June, which was incredible. And for those of us who maybe been in this fight for a few years, we also were able to double the amount of co-sponsors. So we're able to double the amount of elected officials that co-sponsored this bill, which was incredible to see just within one legislative session. So like Senator John Liu mentioned, bills may not pass, they won't pass maybe right away, but I hope you all said this was an incredible accelerated effort. And as a result of all of y'all that we just saw this past session. Finally, the other two accomplishments we wanted to raise was us also raising, resources and funding to support the work that this coalition is doing. That included raising $10,000 for this coalition to support things like the Advocacy Day and printing out all the amazing materials that y'all developed for the coalition's advocacy efforts.
And John's drinking. I get it. Yeah.
With artists.
It's not really. But I appreciate, they gave us a voice, though. They let us speak. Yeah, it's crazy. So
I'm not sure I'm saying it right.
I'm going to take advantage.
Those booklet type things that was able to make the advocacy efforts seem relatable for advocates. And they were really helpful in our advocacy efforts for our Advocacy Day this past session. Next slide.
Let me stop here for a second. I have a question.
Yeah, go for it, Senator.
Please just call me John or JL. There's somebody in the chat who seems to be very opinionated and wants to offer a lot.
Yo, what's up? Yo, Nolan's here. That's right, bitches. What's really good? Chris? What's really good, Chris?
I don't see the person on the screen, and I don't even know who this person is.
Who?
So identify yourself, because we want constructive. We want all to be constructive here. Thank you. Go ahead.
Right. Thank you, John, Senator John Liu. Yes, definitely we can make room for any questions folks have in group discussion at the end of the presentation, so we can get everyone up to speed on what REACH is all about, our coalition structure, and then definitely, I'm just seeing some of the remarks in the chat. I invite other steering team members to respond as we kind of go through the presentation and leave room for Q&A at the end. Sound good?
Oh, please. Yo, come on, man.
Great.
Do it.
So,
do it. I'm recording everything, bitch. Let's go.
The accomplishments from the Advocacy Day. And as a brief refresher, people, I trying to remember what the bill numbers were this past legislative session. It includes
really good?
On the slide, so S5963 and on the Senate side A6579. And I believe here is the total number of sponsors we were able to garner by the end of the session, including 21 Senate sponsors and 22 Assembly sponsors. And some of the elected officials that were present at that press conference, which you can see on the screen a picture of at the $1 Million Staircase, included a wide slate of elected officials, including Senator John Liu, of course, Senator Grace Lee. We had Senator Leah Webb, Assemblymember Ron Kim, Senator Kevin Thomas, Senator Ian Chu, and we also had folks like Assemblymember Stephen Raga present in support of the press conference. All right, let's go to the next slide. Cool. All right, next slide. Great. So this is just a brief legislative timeline. Might have to update the presentation in a second, but just to give folks a refresher of kind of like, the scope of the advocacy efforts and how much progress was made just this past legislative session. And for people who may be new here, here kind of lays out the timeline that we're working with this
Fuck,
past
they turned off the
session.
chat, yeah?
So just to kind of bring it back a few years,
They turned that shit off.
efforts to
All right,
introduce a bill
I'm gonna text
that would
I'm
bring
gonna text Nolan and
API
see what's up, bro.
history
Yeah.
to our
Appreciate him showing
schools
up. Yeah.
started actually a few sessions ago.
Fuck it, man.
At least, for example, in
Shut that
OCA
shit
New York, we were in conversation with Senator Liu's office at the time in 2021, and at the time, Assemblymember Ron Kim was also holding this bill in the Assembly to try to raise awareness around what would it mean to bring API history to our schools across New York. Back in 2021, though, this bill was stuck in Education Committee for some time, both in 2021 and 2022. And so as a result of dozens of conversations at OCA New York, CACF, and many of the steering committee members were having, it was clear that we needed to really ramp up the public campaign about these efforts to pass a bill at the state level that would bring history to schools across AANHPI history to schools across New York. And so in late 2022, Senator John Liu's office actually convened a community stakeholder meeting, many of which y'all were present, to discuss kind of what was happening in the halls of Albany and what we can do to prepare for the 2023 legislative session. Coming out of that community call, CACF and OCA New York and many of the other steering team members that you saw earlier sent out an open call to everyone that attended and expressed interest in advocating for API history to attend a meeting to just strategize and understand what would it take to really ramp up that public campaign. And as a result of all of these discussions, it came to the conclusion that we needed to work together, right? We needed to work together and create a coalition. And that was when REACH was born. And so REACH was born in January 2023, where we actually held our first meeting. And it was just like 20 people or 30 people at the time. And now to see over 170 folks involved in the coalition is incredible. But that's when it all started. In January 2023, we worked with Senator John Liu's office and Assemblymember Grace Lee's office to introduce a new version of the bill that would advocate for bringing AANHPIs, that means Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander history, to our schools at the K through 12 level. And this was done in January 2023. The bill in the Senate was introduced in March, and it was referred to the Education Committee. And in April, it was introduced in the Assembly side and also referred to the Education Committee. Fast forward a few months after some, us raising noise about this, running around the halls of the Capitol, talking in community events, doing more press outreach, we saw a lot of movement on the bill in the later days of the session. So in June 2023, the Senate version of the bill was amended and recommitted to the Education Committee. It was then passed at the state Senate level on June 8th, 2023. So it was discharged from the Education Committee, sent to rules, and then passed the state Senate. The bill did not pass the state Assembly, but the fact that it passed the state Senate is a good sign for advocacy efforts in both houses, we believe, going into 2024. And so in June 15th, we met with representatives from Assemblymember Grace Lee's office and Senator John Liu's office to discuss our strategy going into 2024. And that brings us to today. I know that's a lot for folks, so feel free to drop any questions on the legislative timeline in the chat. But wanted to provide that perspective so everyone's on the same page about kind of what happened last year and also where we kind of started.
Just letting you know, Brianna, the chat was disabled now.
Oh, okay. Thanks, folks. All right. I guess feel free to message me or Colson for any questions. So let's go on the next slide. Okay, so we're going to be diving into this a lot in the upcoming calls in 2024, but just to preview for everyone, the REACH Steering Committee in July, I think of this year, July or August, the summer kind of blurs for me, we held our first leadership retreat where we kind of debriefed what came out of the last legislative session and to really understand what the coalition members wanted to see for the upcoming year and kind of get a sense of the landscape. And so one thing we kept hearing from throughout the coalition was interest in not only advocating at the state level for a bill at the state legislative level to bring AANHPI history to our schools, but also an interest to advocate at the school district level. And so that looks like supporting efforts like in Westchester and also across the state to support advocates in pushing their school districts to integrate AANHPI history in parallel of us also advocating in Albany. We believe this is important because by us showing at the local level that teachers and students want this and are advocating at the school district level, it then gives us more kind of fuel to the statewide efforts, right? Showing, elected officials in their districts, hey, people want this, right? They're advocating for it in their schools, and this is why we want to pass this bill in Albany. We also heard from people, thinking about our strategy around the Board of Regents and the New York State Education Department.
I don't even like
and so this also includes us thinking through as a coalition, what does it mean for us to ensure that we are reaching out to other important stakeholders like the Board of Regents and NYSED so that they can hear directly from the coalition and from our advocates about the importance of expanding AANHPI curriculum across schools in the state and also supporting our bill at the state level. So next slide. And so in terms of for people so this is a little different than when we started REACH. We never really spoke about school districts or what that means to support y'all in that district level work. And so for those of us that may be new to this work, I know I am, the school district landscape is big in New York State, right? And so we wanted to just kind of lay out, like, for everyone to know how many school districts we have and what that means in supporting, grassroots efforts like David mentioned earlier in Westchester. So there are 731 school districts, which is a lot. In New York City alone, there's 32 school districts, and within that we have 1,867 schools within the Department of Education, including 275 charter schools. This fall in 2023, and we have discussion questions later that will touch on this, some of y'all may saw or participated in the expanded pilot of the Hidden Voices Asian American and Pacific Islanders curriculum that was rolled out. And this was rolled out from originally a pilot of 12 public schools to all public schools in New York City by fall 2023. This is a resource that is also available online.
Did you see my text? I sent you some text.
So if you are not in a school, have not seen the Hidden Voices curriculum, and you're an advocate or a parent interested in seeing what that looks like, you can find this information publicly available. Maybe someone can drop it in the chat whenever it goes back online.
Yeah, there's 3 pages of these people. There's actually there's Art Chang is here. There's another lady named Grace Lee. She's an assembly member for the state. There's a lot of powerful people in the building right now. Samantha Day. There's a lot of powerful people in the room right now.
Curriculum, whether it be the Hidden Voices.
Now, if you don't have staying through the whole thing is garbage, right? Because you don't want to hear all this bullshit. But you can also send a DM to the person, Coalition for Asian American Children and Families. They're kind of running the event. Send them a DM. Take a screenshot and tell them about your situation, right? And say, our work, right, with myself as an Asian American is historical, right, as in terms of what we're getting done, and addressing Asian American and Black relations, and instead they're pushing Chris Bay, who's actually victimizing Black people, that's so wrong, and I guarantee a lot of the organizational heads is all in on this bullshit. But the people, the regular people that's here will support you. You know what I mean? I'm sorry they shut down the chat. Go ahead.
Which is governed by the Board of Regents.
Yeah, you ain't got to sit through all this bullshit. You know what I mean? If you want to, that's cool. You know what I mean? I'm sitting through the whole thing, but if you want, you could DM the organization head and ask them to relay the message, and you ain't got to sit for the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Educational policy.
It's up to you, bro. One love.
So it's important to understand that here, and I also like the tone of the discussion right now that we can pass legislation at the statewide level, but it is also important to try to do things on the local level as well. And many of these kinds of decisions have historically, for the last couple hundred years, been rendered at the local level as opposed to the state level.
Steve, what's up, bro? I'm live streaming, but just so you know,
something that we want to achieve.
No, I didn't fuck up.
So
Yo, take it easy, bro. I'm handling my business.
New York City
I do my business. I didn't fuck up.
Right now, we're talking a little
I'm doing what I gotta do, bro.
That
ain't my chance, bro. Listen, I know what I'm doing, man. I'm just hanging up right. I have something I can tell you, but you ain't gotta listen, bro. If you think you know better than me, I'm not mad at that, right? Yeah, that's not an opportunity, man. These people all sold us out, man.
That was kind of like the height of anti-Asian hate.
So yeah,
And even
exactly.
then,
So it's not an
it was
opportunity.
really
Let's be
rough
real.
going.
So the fact of the matter is that I could
So,
see it online.
late
But the thing is that
2021
really,
and most of 2022,
we could
we
sit through the whole
focused
thing, but
on
why? You know, what I mean,
using
this is
one
operating on
school
their
district,
terms, right?
the
Yeah.
New York City
You can
School District,
even though they shut down the
as
chat, you can still DM
kind of like the
CACF
place where it
directly
could get started.
with your
And
case.
so
You're a
we
groundbreaking
focused
case,
on
yeah. And you
getting
could
the
say, look,
Department
I'm
of
worried that
Education,
because of
we
the
had a
politics
new
going
mayor, we
on,
had a new
that
chancellor.
my
It was a great
activism is not going to get
opportunity
covered.
to
You
get
or
that
yourself,
in.
you know what I mean?
And so
And
in
then
May
you could
of
ask them to relay it to the
2022,
rest of the group. If they don't want to do that, right, take a screenshot and
the
make sure
mayor
that they know.
announced his
You know what I mean?
invoices as a
They're
pilot.
giving me an opportunity. They're gonna let me talk, right, and then they're gonna do nothing. Fuck them. You know what I mean?
Excuse me, a year later, expanded into all schools. So that's
No,
an
no.
idea.
Well, you
That's
kind
a,
of.
that's
I mean, you
an
should for
example
yourself, right?
of
But send
using
it
the local
if
school
they shut down the
district
whole
to
chat,
get
right? Yeah.
something
I mean, I could
at
say,
the
like, you
same
know,
time
send a
that
DM
we're
to
pursuing
right. So
statewide
send a DM to
legislation.
CACF,
Legislator
right? Yeah,
Mora
and
also
take a
talked about
screenshot
how
because
he's
right
trying
now
to get done
we can't chat with the regular
county
audience,
level in
right? Because they shutting it
Westchester.
down because they see what we
You
up
know,
to, right?
I
Yeah.
see people like
So,
Kelly Chin here
right,
who
yeah.
are very
What we can do is we can
active
actually
on
so
Long Island,
send right.
the
You have a
school
very
system.
powerful story. You're the
There
Asian
are
serpico,
school
bro.
districts,
You
Julie,
put
correct
like,
me if I'm
you know
wrong,
what I mean? So
but there are
DM
some
your
school districts in Long Island who have already mandated
well, the public will.
AANHPI
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they don't
history
give a
in
fuck.
their
You're damn
public
right
schools.
about that. You're right.
So
Yeah,
let's,
that's why.
you know, let's keep
But we can
together
document
as a
that we've
coalition,
presented this stuff. I
pushing
have
hard
Nolan
for
Farrell over here
statewide
sending them a DM as well,
legislation.
telling them about their
But
case,
at the
about his
same
wrongful
time, we have to
conviction.
keep pushing
Chris
at the
Bay's
local
here too.
school
He's
district
assistant
level.
Queens DA. We're gonna.
Beautifully
They
said,
let us
John.
interact, and I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much. And that's something that is different.
Get the evidence.
that
Take
we
the
did discuss
screenshots.
when we
Send them your
started,
information.
Reach,
Yeah,
and, that
and
was
they talk
because
about it or they
we
don't.
heard
Yeah,
from all
they'll
of
look.
y'all
Yeah.
of this desired interest and understanding of
Hey, look,
the
you busy
importance
too.
of doing
Exactly.
this
All
in
right, one
tandem
love,
at the
peace.
local and state level.
I get it. I get it.
We're not
I'm doing my own thing. I get it. I get it.
abandoning
One
our
love,
state-level
peace.
advocacy efforts. That's why we have our champions here.
Don't worry about it.
But
I
we
get
do
it. I get it.
recognize the
Peace.
importance of the work y'all are doing at the district level. I want to continue supporting y'all in that in the coming year. Awesome. So you might be wondering, what does that even look like? So I'm going to run through a bit of our coalition structure. It's a little updated from when we were all last together. So just wanted to kind of give a preview of how we're going to be organizing as a group next year. Let's go next slide. Okay, so some things are still the same. JK. Most of this is new. So in terms of our meetings, these are really important spaces where we basically create a virtual space for advocates to come together for our community calls to learn more about what's going on with REACH, to share efforts that's going on in their community, to hear from guest speakers, and those are referred to as our coalition-wide community calls. Last session, we held those bi-weekly. Going into 2024, we're actually going to move to a monthly coalition-wide community call, and we'll explain why we're moving it to monthly. We also have steering committee calls, usually bi-weekly, and so if anyone has any questions with steering committee members, you could always reach out to us, and we'd be happy to bring that to the broader steering committee every other week. As a result of us moving to a monthly coalition-wide community call structure, we are going to be implementing a new thing called action groups. And so the action groups is really important for us to organize within REACH because these are kind of smaller subgroups or kind of like working groups in the coalition where we can work together to do things that will help us win, right? And so when joining this coalition, you'll be asked to see if you'd be interested in participating in one of our action groups. And we'll have another slide that outlines what those action groups are. And those action groups will also be meeting outside of the coalition-wide community calls, right? In terms of protocol for letters and statements, a few questions came up about this last session, so just want to clarify that. So when we draft statements and letters, we at the steering committee will ensure that we share it with all coalition members and basically have a opt-in process and require folks to sign on, right? So that means by being a part of REACH, it does not mean you or your organization will be automatically signed on to any letter or REACH releases. So please, when you see a REACH email, especially with a sign on or like review, do not ignore it. Because we want to make sure that your organizations are represented if we are doing a broader kind of coalition-wide sign on or letter effort. Make sense?
Okay, so technically,
Yeah,
you know,
and
I
if
could
can
go
just
on camera
add,
there.
like,
I'd have to shut this
rationale
off,
behind
and like
that,
I have
it's
to
mainly because
could
we
redo
never
all this
want to
stuff.
take your voices for granted.
So I could shut
right,
down
or
the
make
stream and come back.
assumptions that we're speaking on behalf of you just
Let's
because
take a look at this
you all
over
joined
here.
this coalition. So that is kind of the intentionality behind
I do have a
that
feeling that a
decision.
lot of these
Exactly. Yep.
This
Awesome.
this curriculum, right? Yeah,
Awesome.
it's good with the
Okay,
past,
great.
but
So you might
it's,
be wondering, what the
engaging
heck
the
are
dead,
action
not the
groups?
living. Yeah.
They're meant for us to act, right? And so that looks like the following 4 action groups. The first one is our base building action group. So the base building action group will be a kind of subcommittee that will identify new organizations, new groups for us to recruit and bring into REACH. So this looks like helping us identify different student
so
organizations,
I'm going to actually reboot. Yeah, it's going to take
community-based
me. I have to do
organizations,
some other
maybe
things, so I'll be
PTAs,
right back.
parent-teacher associations
And
across
we will,
the state.
let me check the chat right before, yeah?
Basically
I'm
creating
sorry,
these lists
yeah,
for the
look,
coalition
shit is
and
crazy.
doing
Yeah,
that
there's a lot of
one-on-one
people waiting
outreach
for
to
justice
invite
here.
them to
A lot of
join our
emotions and
monthly
shit,
community
yeah.
calls,
I'm fucking up, yeah.
as well as
Yo, who told
orienting them
people about this
around
meeting,
who
man?
REACH is, what we do, and the different action groups and upcoming opportunities. And so groups right now doing that, helping to start that action group is OCA New York and NICLU.
And Ramonte just got
For
himself
our
a fucking
communications
award. Fuck
action
this
group,
guy.
this is a kind of subcommittee that will be working on developing our social media strategy, as well as our earned media strategy, and helping to train advocates in writing op-eds and press releases or toolkits for the coalition. This was really critical last session, and so we want to be able to kind of expand this work, and we need to do that through a communications action group.
Too. That's true. That's true.
The third action group is our policy and outreach action group, and so this action group will be organizing around legislative research and outreach to important stakeholders regarding legislative actions. And so this also includes mapping out our strategy regarding NICED, different commissions with elected officials, and helping organize things like legislative briefings for staffers so that they understand why we are bothering their bosses about the importance of this bill.
Are really valid points.
And then finally, our community engagement action group. The community engagement action group is the action group that will help organize grassroots activation. So this looks like community events, or identifying and participating in community tabling opportunities across the state.
So technically,
this action group will also be working closely with the steering committee to organize REACH-specific programs like town halls, grassroots summits, and trainings.
Felicia Singh, isn't she? Yeah, I know her. Wait, Felicia's here?
Any of the steering committee members
look at all these females here.
With action groups that you're participating in?
Telling you right now, yeah. Christopher Bay. Oh my God, yeah, Chris.
I can just jump in broadly to say that one of our biggest learnings,
Steve
right?
Lee,
We
hell
are
yeah.
very
Steve,
transparent.
what's up, bro?
We're working to be very
right
transparent.
So
one of our biggest learnings was that we literally cannot do this like at an individual basis.
Man.
We cannot do this like as a group of like 4 or 5 people.
We
need everyone on this call, like, because everyone here has like amazing skill sets, networks, like all of these talents. And so this was our effort and our intention behind